The figure of the Sigma male emerges in the modern social landscape as a subject of intense fascination and profound misunderstanding. He is often perceived through a distorted lens, cast as aloof, arrogant, or emotionally stunted. The core of this misinterpretation lies not in any inherent flaw or malice within the Sigma, but in a fundamental clash between his intrinsic operating system and the unspoken, often unquestioned, rules of the collective social script. This individual does not radiate coldness from a place of disdain, nor does he maintain his distance out of belief in his own superiority. The truth is far more simple and, for many, far more disconcerting. He feels no compelling internal or external pressure to prove his worth, validate his existence, or seek permission from the tribe. He is, quite literally, minding his own business. Yet, the very act of living authentically according to this self-contained principle creates a ripple effect of unease. His demeanor, his choices, and his very presence serve as a silent, living critique of performative nature of much social interaction. Possessing one of the rarest and least understood personality configurations only widens this chasm of comprehension. When society cannot easily label, categorize, or predict an individual, it resorts to projection. The quieter and more observant he remains, the more frantic the attempts to define and become, often concluding that there must be something wrong, something hidden, or something broken within him. What the unsettled observer fails to grasp is that this calm, detached energy is not a deficiency. It is power under exquisite control. It is a quiet hum of a self-sustaining engine. This presence, by its very nature, acts as a mirror, forcing those in its vicinity to see reflections of their own insecurities, their own need for validation, and their own performative habits more clearly than they might ever desire. In this extensive exploration, we will dissect and illuminate the 6 subtle yet potent traits that form the bedrock of the Sigma male's intimidating presence. Habits that appear superficially harmless, but possess the power to quietly recalibrate the entire social dynamic. 1. The impenetrable facade, the power of strategic seriousness in first impressions. The theater of first impressions is a stage where most people have rehearsed their parts to perfection. Within the first fleeting seconds of an encounter, a well-choreographed ballet of social cues is deployed. The quick, acknowledging smile, the polite, often forced laughter at a mild joke, the enthusiastic but hollow friendliness designed to signal non-threatening intent and foster immediate rapport. This ritual is so deeply ingrained that its absence is not merely noted. It is felt as a visceral disturbance. The Sigma male declines to participate in this entire performance. This refusal is not rooted in rudeness, misanthropy, or a sense of superiority, but in a profound commitment to authenticity. For him, the act of smiling at a stranger without genuine cause feels like a form of social dishonesty, a hollow currency exchange to grease the wheels of an interaction that is yet to prove its value. His initial seriousness is not a mass of anger, bitterness, or coldness. It is a state of pure, unadulterated neutrality. It is a default setting of mind in observation mode, actively processing, analyzing, and discerning, deciding whether this new person warrants the investment of emotional and intellectual energy. While everyone else is frantically engaged in the pursuit of being likable, the Sigma male is engaged in the practice of being selective. This selectivity creates an immediate and palpable tension in the social atmosphere. Human beings are psychologically wired to seek immediate feedback, a smile returned, a nod of agreement, a word of affirmation that confirms their social standing and validates their presentation. This feedback loop provides a sense of safety and acceptance. When this expected validation is withheld by the Sigma, a subtle but potent panic begins to simmer. The individual is left in a state of social suspense, wondering, did I say something inappropriate? Does he not like me? Is there something wrong with my appearance or demeanor? The fascinating paradox is that the Sigma male is not even considering these questions. His cognitive resources are directed inward, toward assessment, not outward toward performance or reassurance. He is simply not dancing the expected social dance, and his stillness makes the frantic movements of everyone else seem suddenly conspicuous. The psychological efficacy of this approach is profound. Research in social psychology, notably by figures like Amy Cuddy, has identified 2 primary dimensions along which we rapidly judge others: warm friendliness, trustworthiness, approachability, and competence, capability, intelligence, strength. The vast majority of people, in an effort to build quick rapport, lead with warmth. They open with a smile, a friendly tone, and open body language to signal that they are safe and agreeable. The Sigma male, consciously or not, flips this paradigm. He leads with competence. His serious demeanor, his calm observation, and his lack of performative friendliness signal capability, self-containment, and a mind that is not easily swayed. This nonverbal communication broadcasts a powerful message. This person does not require your approval to function. This single shift in focus completely subverts the standard social hierarchy. Suddenly, the burden of proof is inverted. Instead of the Sigma male working to earn the group's approval, the individuals in the group begin feeling unconscious pressure to earn a flicker of positive recognition from him. A slight smile, a nod, a word of genuine engagement. The most revealing and rarely admitted aspect of this dynamic is that the Sigma's neutral expression is often perceived as active judgment, even when it is nothing of the sort. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine that abhors a vacuum. When presented with a face that gives nothing away, a blank canvas of expression, the mind instinctively projects its own insecurities and assumptions onto it. For most people, whose inner world are often filled with self-doubt, the most readily available assumption is disapproval. They assume the blank slate is a negative review. Consequently, they begin to explain themselves, to justify their opinions, to elaborate on their stories, and to reveal vulnerabilities that the Sigma male never asked for and never questioned. He did not demand this transparency. His silence and stillness created a spacious void into which they voluntarily poured their own unsolicited confessions. The moment they realize this, that they have revealed more of their hand than they intended without any reciprocal disclosure, they feel profoundly exposed, vulnerable, and outmaneuvered. The intimidation stems not from anything the Sigma did, but from what his presence compelled them to do to themselves. 2. The economy of speech, when silence speaks volumes and truth cuts deep. In the bustling marketplace of human interaction, small talk serves as a universal social lubricant. It is the inconsequential chatter about weather, sports, or weekend plans that serves to oil the gears of conversation, maintaining a smooth, frictionless, and safe exchange. It is a ritual of mutual acknowledgement that says, "I see you, we are part of the same tribe, and I mean no harm." The Sigma male utilizes this tool sparingly, not because he is intellectually incapable of engaging in it, but because he perceives it as a fundamental misallocation of his finite time and energy. To him, it often feels like a transactional exchange of empty calories, words that provide no substantive nourishment for mind or soul. When he does choose to break his silence, the transition is jarring. He bypasses the verbal padding, the social niceties, and the conversational fluff. His communication is direct, precise, and stripped to its essential truth. It is honesty without varnish, delivered not with malice, but with a clarity that can be breathtaking in its bluntness. Modern social discourse is built upon a foundation of acceptable, even expected, minor falsehoods. We tell each other we are fine when we are crumbling inside. We claim that a colleague's idea sounds great when we privately believe it is doomed to fail. We end conversations with "let's get together soon," with no concrete intention of following through. These are not considered lies in the moral sense. They are the agreed-upon rules of the social game, designed to maintain harmony and avoid conflict. The Sigma male unilaterally withdraws from this game. He operates on a different set of rules where words are meant to correspond directly to reality and intention. If you ask for his opinion, you will receive an unfiltered assessment, not a politicized one. If he has no desire or capacity to socialize, he will say no with simple finality rather than the non-committal maybe or "we'll see" that most people use as a buffer. This behavioral pattern finds a parallel in the psychological concept known as the mum effect, which describes a common tendency for people to avoid delivering bad or uncomfortable news because they do not want to be associated with a negative emotional fallout. They sugarcoat, deflect, and obscure difficult truths to preserve the feelings of others and shield themselves from discomfort. The Sigma male rejects this entire framework. He operates on the principle that delivering an uncomfortable truth is a higher form of respect than offering a comfortable lie. He believes that honesty, however painful in the short term, allows for clear-eyed decisions and authentic relationships, whereas lies, however comforting initially, create a fragile architecture destined to collapse. The central conflict arises because unfiltered honesty, when delivered without the standard emotional cushioning, is often misinterpreted as an attack. In a world where most communication is padded with reassurances like, "Don't take this the wrong way, but," or "I mean this in the best possible way," the unpadded, direct version can sound jarringly harsh or cold. The Sigma male simply answered the question that was asked, assuming that the asker desired a genuine answer. What he fails to account for is that in most social contexts, people are not truly seeking unvarnished truth. They are seeking validation and reinforcement of their own perspectives. When they pose a question like, "What do you think of my idea?" they're often asking for encouragement, not a critical analysis. When the Sigma provides the latter instead of the former, the resulting cognitive dissonance creates intense discomfort. Rather than sitting with this discomfort and examining the validity of his feedback, it is easier for the recipient to label him as intimidating, harsh, or insensitive. In reality, he is not intimidating. He is merely a mirror reflecting a truth they were unprepared to see, making them uncomfortable with what they already, on some level, knew to be true. 3. The unimpressed observer. The disarming power of genuine indifference. In the relentless theater of social competition, where individuals vie for attention, status, and approval, the act of sharing achievements becomes a key ritual. The new car, the promotion, the exotic vacation photos. These are the modern-day trophies presented to the tribe for validation. The standard conditioned response is one of enthusiastic endorsement. "That's amazing. Congratulations." This performative enthusiasm is the glue that bonds social circles, reinforcing relationships and maintaining a comfortable, reciprocal economy of validation. The Sigma male, however, refuses to deal in counterfeit currency. He will not feign enthusiasm merely to uphold social harmony or make someone else feel good. If an accomplishment is genuinely impressive, he will acknowledge it with sincere, though often understated, respect. However, if the achievement is mundane, self-aggrandizing, or simply not aligned with his own values, he will not manufacture reaction. His response will be neutral, perhaps a simple "okay" or "I see." This neutrality creates an immediate and profound social friction. People are psychologically conditioned to expect a specific, positive emotional reward when they present their highlights. When they are met with a flat, non-celebratory response from the Sigma, they feel dismissed, devalued, and even insulted. It is crucial to understand that the Sigma male is not actively dismissing them. He is simply abstaining from performing an excitement he does not genuinely feel. There's a world of difference between silent judgment and neutral observation. He may think the accomplishment is perfectly fine or even good, but fine does not generate the dopamine hit of social validation that the individual was seeking. This dynamic is a powerful illustration of the spotlight effect, a cognitive bias wherein people drastically overestimate how much others notice, judge, and care about their actions, appearances, and accomplishments. The Sigma male is a walking, breathing corrective to this bias. His focus is so intensely directed toward his own internal priorities, goals, and curiosities that he simply does not possess the emotional bandwidth to get authentically worked up over someone else's highlight reel. The intimidating quality of this indifference is not rooted in the indifference itself, but in the powerful wave of self-reflection it forces upon the other person. When someone fails to react to your achievement in the anticipated manner, it disrupts the self-congratulatory narrative. It forces you to step outside of your own hype and ask uncomfortable questions. Is this achievement not as significant as I thought? Are my priorities misplaced? Is the thing I'm chasing actually meaningful? This involuntary encounter with self-doubt is a deeply unsettling experience. The natural psychological defense is to externalize this discomfort. Instead of grappling with these difficult questions, it is far easier to project the blame onto the Sigma male, accusing him of being unsupportive, envious, or lacking in social grace. The profound truth they resist acknowledging is that he is under no obligation to validate their life choices. His very lack of need for external validation himself is what makes his quiet non-reaction so potent. It implicitly suggests a terrifying possibility that the entire frantic pursuit of social status and external approval might be a hollow endeavor. If he is not impressed by the trophy, perhaps the game itself is not worth playing. For the sovereignty of self, emotional responsibility, and the rejection of manufactured drama We live in an era where the mantra, "your feelings are valid," has been elevated to a sacrosanct principle. While well-intentioned, this philosophy often becomes blurred in its practical application. The Sigma male draws a critical and often unpopular distinction. While all feelings are valid in the sense that they are authentically experienced, this does not automatically render them justified, reasonable, or someone else's responsibility to manage. From his perspective, you have an absolute right to feel whatever emotions arise within you. That is an intrinsic part of the human experience. However, your feelings do not dictate objective reality, and they certainly do not obligate him to alter his behavior, compromise his boundaries, or manage your emotional state for you. This perspective, when first encountered, can sound callous, even heartless. But its true nature is revealed when one observes the immense amount of psychic energy most people expend tiptoeing around and managing emotions that are not their own, walking on eggshells to avoid triggering a colleague, suppressing an opinion to placate a friend's sensitivity, or absorbing the venting of a family member who refuses to take action. This does not mean the Sigma male is an unfeeling automaton, devoid of empathy or care for others. On the contrary, he can be deeply caring and fiercely loyal to those who have earned his trust. The distinction lies in where he draws a line. He cares about people, but he does not take responsibility for them. If someone is upset because they misinterpreted a straightforward comment, he views that as their responsibility to clarify and work through. If someone is offended by his honest, non-malicious opinion, he perceives that as an issue of their personal sensitivity, not his failure to be kind. He will not apologize for existing in a way that makes someone else uncomfortable when he has not acted with malice or intent to harm. His moral compass is calibrated to truth and integrity, not to the shifting winds of others' emotional weather. This philosophy aligns with the work of experts like Harriet Lerner, who wrote extensively about the dynamics of emotional responsibility in relationships. She observed that people often, whether consciously or unconsciously, weaponize their feelings to control the behavior of others. The pattern is familiar and manipulative. I am hurt, therefore you must change what you are doing. I am upset, therefore you are responsible for fixing the situation for me. The Sigma male is immune to this form of emotional leverage. He will listen attentively. He will care about your distress as a human being in pain, but he will not rearrange his core principles, betray his own truth, or dismantle his carefully constructed boundaries simply to soothe an emotional reaction that he did not cause. His steadiness is not a wall of indifference. It is a bedrock of his self-ownership. This is profoundly intimidating to many because it nullifies their primary tool of social navigation and control. Many individuals have learned, through a lifetime of socialization, that expressing hurt, anger, or disappointment can be an effective lever to shift outcomes in their favor. The Sigma male does not respond to this lever. He remains steadfast, calm, and principled regardless of the emotional tempest swirling around him. This unwavering consistency can feel like indifference, as if he does not care about their pain. But the reality is more nuanced. He cares, but he cares more about long-term truth and authentic respect than he does about providing short-term, placating comfort that solves nothing. By refusing to play the role of emotional caretaker for capable adults, he forces them to confront their own emotional dependency and develop their own internal resources for self-regulation, a daunting task that many would rather avoid by simply labeling him as intimidating. 5. The integrity of action, where word and deed become one and complaining is seen as noise. In a world of digital communication and overbooked schedules, the connection between one's word and one's actions has become dangerously attenuated. The phrase, "say what you mean and mean what you say," is often praised as a virtue, but rarely practiced with consistency. People overcommit, cancel at the last minute, make promises fueled by the enthusiasm of the moment that are forgotten by the following week. This behavior has become so normalized that it is almost expected. Flakiness is met with a sigh, and that's just how people are. The Sigma male exists as a stark exception to this norm. If he gives you his word, he treats it as a binding contract with himself. He will follow through, barring genuine, unforeseen emergencies. Conversely, if he knows he cannot or will not commit to something, he will state this clearly from the outset. He would rather deliver an uncomfortable no than a dishonest yes. This rock-solid reliability, however, has a demanding flip side that can make him a challenging presence. Because he holds himself to this exacting standard of integrity, he naturally, if sometimes implicitly, expects a similar level of commitment and follow-through from those in his orbit. This is where his profound impatience with chronic complainers originates. To the Sigma, the act of complaining without any concomitant action is not merely unproductive. It is a form of psychological pollution. It is a vocalization of victimhood, a repetitive rehearsal of problems with no intention of ever seeking a solution. His logic is ruthlessly pragmatic and linear. If a situation is causing you unhappiness, you have two valid options. Option 1. Take concrete, deliberate action to change the situation. Option 2. If the situation is truly outside your control, accept it and cease the futile vocalizations. Complaining is seen as a third, illogical option, a venting of steam that does nothing to fix the boiler. This perspective is supported by psychological concepts like Martin Seligman's learned helplessness, where individuals can believe they have no control over their circumstances and thus cease trying to improve them, instead resorting to vocalizing their frustration as a way to feel heard and validated. The Sigma male does not see this venting as a cry for help, but as a surrender of agency. He views it as a choice to remain in a state of powerlessness. This creates a fundamental disconnect in communication. The complainer is seeking empathy, a listening ear, and emotional solidarity. They want their feelings to be witnessed and affirmed. The Sigma male, in contrast, is oriented toward solutions, efficiency, and problem solving. He is offering a roadmap out of the misery, while a complainer often just wants someone to sit with them in the mud. The intimidating aspect of this trait is the relentless accountability it introduces into any relationship or social circle. The Sigma male, by his very existence as a person of his word, becomes a living benchmark. He holds himself accountable with such consistency that it inadvertently holds everyone around him to a higher standard. You cannot comfortably make endless excuses for your own unreliability when the person next to you never makes any. His silent example highlights the glaring chasm between what people say they will do and what they actually do. This mirror is uncomfortable to gaze into. Rather than being inspired to rise to the challenge and bridge that gap, it is often easier for people to shoot the messenger. They label the Sigma male as too rigid, too demanding, too harsh, or lacking in compassion. In reality, he is merely consistent, and his consistency exposes their inconsistency, a confrontation with self that is far more intimidating than any external criticism. 6. The controlled variable, mastering the art of strategic unpredictability. Human beings are creatures of habit who find profound comfort in predictability. We are reassured by patterns, the consistent morning routine, the predictable response of a partner, the reliable opinion of a friend. This predictability creates a sense of safety and control, allowing us to navigate our social world with minimal cognitive load. The Sigma male intentionally and consistently disrupts these patterns. He is not easily pigeonholed. He might leave a social gathering early without fanfare one night, and then be the last to leave the next. He might agree to a plan enthusiastically, only to change his mind at the last moment based on a new intuition or opportunity. This is not done for attention, to be difficult, or to create drama. It stems from a core belief that rigid routines are psychological traps that limit freedom, spontaneity, and the potential for novel experiences. His unpredictability keeps people in a state of constant, low-level anticipation, never quite sure what to expect. However, this is where a critical distinction must be made, one that is almost always missed by the outside observer. The Sigma male is not chaotic, impulsive, or reckless. His unpredictability is not born from a lack of discipline, but from a different application of it. While his actions may appear spontaneous on the outside, they are almost always calculated and intentional. He is changing variables in the social experiment of life to observe the outcomes. He is testing boundaries, exploring different paths, and gathering data. He is, in essence, a scientist of his own existence. There is a deep, internal structure and a clear set of personal rules that guide his seemingly variable behavior. He is in complete control of his decision to be unpredictable. This combination of external flexibility and internal ironclad control is deeply disorienting for those who require external predictability to feel secure. This behavioral mode resonates with the psychological concept of the flow state, studied by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, where peak performance and satisfaction are achieved when there is a balance between the challenge of a task and the skill of the individual. The Sigma male naturally curates his life to inhabit this optimal zone. A life that is too predictable leads to boredom and understimulation. A life that is truly chaotic leads to anxiety and overwhelm. He navigates the middle path, imposing enough structure to remain grounded and effective, but introducing enough variability to stay engaged, curious, and alive. The ultimate source of intimidation in this trait is the utter loss of control it creates for others. Social interaction is, in many ways, a dance of predictable steps. When you know how someone is likely to react, you can plan your own moves accordingly. You know which topics to avoid, which jokes will land, and what behavior will elicit approval. The Sigma male removes this roadmap. When you cannot predict someone's behavior, you cannot control them, the interaction, or the environment's outcome. You lose your social anchor. Suddenly, you are navigated without a compass, forced to be truly present and authentic in each moment because any reliance on pre-programmed social scripts is liable to fail. This is mentally and emotionally exhausting for most people, requiring them to overthink every interaction and remain in a state of heightened alertness. The Sigma male is not doing this to be manipulative. He is simply being true to his own fluid yet controlled nature. But in a world that craves predictability, his control variability is perceived as the most intimidating trait of all, a quiet declaration that he cannot be categorized, controlled, or ever fully predicted, and is therefore forever free. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered it in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home the most for you. Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actual insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.